So it's a miserable-ish Sunday morning here in London. We're staying here at the Farringdon Smithfield Premier Inn, which is a decent little, it's a Premier Inn, it's what it is, but it's a decent location. It's a 10-minute walk to St Paul's for the train, and there's a few restaurants and stuff around by St Paul's that you can go to. And we've also got this little, but interestingly, well, I found it interesting. It's right opposite. It's right opposite St Bart's, and then as you walk around from the hotel, if you come along here to the back end of St Bart's Hospital, what you'll find is, amongst all the springtime's a lovely time to go anywhere, isn't it, with all the blossom trees, but there's a couple of pubs over here as well. However, this is the bit that I found interesting. We walked along here yesterday and we noticed this. So this here is a plaque. And this plaque here is in memory of Sir William Wallace, who is a Scottish hero, Scottish rebel. William Wallace, Scottish rebel, who fought for the independence of Scotland in the 13th century. However, he was betrayed and captured, brought to London and put to death near this spot in August, on the 23rd of August 1305. He's a massive Scottish hero. I'm half Scottish, so I feel that I'm allowed to this is a nice area for me to come and visit. But I find it's tucked away in the back of Smithfield's Market that you would never even know existed. So this is a spot where, around this area is where William Wallace would have been hung, drawn and quartered before his body parts were sent off to the four corners of the land to deter other rebels. And over there is Smithfield's Meat Market. Now, just along here, something else we found, we saw that looked quite interesting yesterday as we were heading to the train station, and is this area here. You've got this old Tudor style medieval entranceway to St Bartholomew the Great Church, which is just through here. You can see the old royal seal above us, and you get a lovely come right into the church courtyard. And I find it fascinating, and the churches like this. Now, obviously, I know churches exist, but I find it fascinating that churches, they're in the middle of these big cities, and you find a little church nestled away. Look at this; it's like attached to the buildings around it. But this is St Bartholomew the Great. See if there's any interesting gravestones around. Yeah, we can't really make any of these out, which is a shame. Now, interesting gravestones. There are some interesting gravestones near here. There are some interesting grave sites near here, I guess, because we're not too far from St Paul's Cathedral. Now, in St Paul's, I believe Nelson, Admiral Horatio Nelson and Sir Arthur Wellesley are both buried in St Paul's. Now, I'm not going into St Paul's whilst I'm here, because it's £26 to go in, or it was approximately £26 to go in. See, above this door here, sorry, something else quite interesting, above this door you've got the two dates. You've got 1240 to 1932. But it's so, this I know we're in England and we see a lot of history, but this is really, it's really how quaint and odd these windows and doors look. So that's what that sign means. So this gatehouse was restored in 1932 to the use of the church in the memory of the two brothers, Sir Aston Webb and Alfred Webb, who worked together on the restoration of the fabric of the church over 40 years. So this gateway was actually restored in the 1930s, which is why it's got those dates above it. But St Paul's has got some interesting people in there, but it's quite expensive to go in and see, so we're probably going to avoid that this trip. That might be St Paul's might be something we'd go to on a future trip to London. We've had quite a busy few days anyway. Now, along here we can see some stones, and then here is a plaque that tells you a bit about these stones. So this is from the Thames to eternity. These stones here were quarried mainly in Cornwall and Scotland in the 19th century for use in Joseph Bazalgate's Thames River Wall at Victoria Embankment, and they were removed to enable the new Thames Tideway sewer. So those stones were mined 150 odd years ago and brought here to be used as part of Victorian London. Mini pinch. We can see now, because I've walked the long way around this morning just to have a quick look at the church and the William Wallace plaque. Along here you can see St Paul's Cathedral in the background, which is a very, very beautiful cathedral. So if you walk down King Edward Street towards St Paul's, you'll come across this statue here. Now this statue here is of Rowland Hill. He founded uniform penny postage in 1840. I wonder if he'd be disappointed or pleased that postage has moved on to the point whereby technology has basically usurped the use of letters. The bottom end of King Edward Street is this church here, which is called Christ Church. This is the ruins of a church, and the gardens are open to the public, and that tower there in front of us, it looks almost Mediterranean in design and look, is called Greyfriars Tower. It's very ominous in the cloudy grey skies. Now, as we keep going round the churchyard, what we're going to come to is this sculpture here, which we'll have a quick look at and see what it's about. Okay, so this sculpture here is to commemorate the fact that on this site Christ's Hospital was founded by King Edward VI in 1552. Now, King Edward VI didn't last very long. He was Henry VIII's son, and it was to house feed and educate local needy children. And the school was moved to Horsham in West Sussex in 1902, where its mission continues to this day. And here's a little bit of information about Christ Church Greyfriars Garden. So the garden covers the burial grounds on the site of the former nave of Christ Church Greyfriars, which were taken over by the Corporation of London in 1931. And the rose garden was laid out in 1989. It's designed to match the floor plan of the former church. So one of the things I do like about visiting cities is having a little wander around myself, and a Sunday morning is a really good time to do it. Most cities around the world have really interesting little things that you can see and learn about whilst you're there, and things that most people don't get to experience. So get out there and explore your world. You have been watching Munchy Road Hippopotamus. Thank you for joining us in our adventures. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy our channel, and tell us about any adventures that you have in the comments below. Get out there and explore your world.